Hi, welcome to my channel. If you're over 50 and you're scared, you're broke, or you're running out of money and you can't see how you're going to get out of this, I need you to sit with me for a few minutes because I've been there. Because this month before tax, I earned £4,100 without a 9-to-5 job. And so can you. There was no employer, no HR department, no interview, no waiting for someone to decide if I was still relevant, if I was going to be laid off or made redundant. And I know that right now you think that it might be over. You may have been made redundant, divorced, suffered a bereavement, some other catastrophic financial disaster, and you find yourself without a job, totally desperate, applying like crazy to everything on LinkedIn, on Facebook, Indeed, changing up your CV so that for every single job posting you apply to, that it's relevant so that the AI doesn't kick you out. And the truth is, if you're over 50, the AI is probably kicking you out because of your experience and your age. So you showcase your experience and it tells your age. You take the dates off and it makes you look like you don't have enough experience. To think that you might be aged out of employment at just 50, when we were always taught as young people, get a job, stay there, be loyal, do your best, and you're going to retire from that job. As a woman, you might take some time out to have children. I didn't, but you might, and then you'll go back and you'll still retire from that job. That was not, at the time, that's what people believed was the truth, but it's not true anymore. Maybe your CV isn't even going to get read by a human being if you upload it through one of these ATS, applicant tracking systems like Workday. And maybe you'll never sit at a desk again with a salary that's going to hit your bank account on a monthly or every 2-week basis. It's possible. But let me tell you something calmly and clearly. You might never get a traditional 9-to-5 ever again. And that's not a failure. It's not a failure of yours. It's a failure of the system. And it's not the end. It's a transition. Let me tell you something. The mistake most people make is waiting after this financial disaster, this layoff, this being fired, being aged out. They immediately sat down in front of LinkedIn for 8 hours a day, banging out CVs to jobs at their level, below their level, anything they're relevantly qualified for, calling up, emailing their network, begging for work when the people they're begging are usually their own age because they're peers who are too scared to refer you anyway because they're worried about their own job. As those months when you're desperately chasing your next 9-to-5 are ticking by, your savings are dwindling and nothing's coming in. And the sleepless nights start and the panic starts and you start thinking about, what could I retrain as a 56-year-old? How long is that going to take me? Do I have the money for the course? Let me downsize my house, my flat. You know, you can only downsize once, and once that money's gone, it's gone. Once the savings is gone, it's gone. You have to be generating income. So it's time to stop thinking about a traditional 9-to-5 job. And if that's what you really want, I'm not saying totally stop that activity, but cut it down to 2 hours a day. And maybe pick up some of the ideas I'm going to give you here to be bringing income in at the same time. And it's not glamorous income, and it's not anything that, you know, is going to rocket launch your resume or your CV into the stratosphere of having a 9-to-5. But what it is going to do is it's going to keep food on the table. It's going to keep your council tax and your mortgage paid and the heating and the lights on. And right now, that's going to give you peace of mind while you go through and navigate this transition. So the first category I'd like to talk to you about is pet services. And this is where I started myself. I'd had dogs throughout my life, but I was dogless. But I babysat pets at for friends' dogs for free when I was employed, and I was on a 6-figure salary and they were going away on some fabulous vacation and needed somebody to look after their dog, and I worked remotely, so it was no problem. And I thought, maybe that could be something. And I went on Facebook. I had my own page, where I'd write to my friends, and I created a new page that was called Cha Cha's Dog Walking, Sitting, and Doggy Daycare Service. And I asked my friends, who I had given dog care to previously for free, if they'd write me some recommendations, and they did. And then I did research. I Googled it for my area, which I live in the UK. Do dog sitters need licenses? So I found out that. And the fact is that if you are a boarding kennel, you do need a license, and it costs money. If you dog sit in someone else's home, their home, then it's house and dog sitting, and there's no license required. If you keep dogs overnight in your own home, you need not a kenneling license, but a dog license at registration, and that costs money. And I was running out of money, so I didn't want to spend money, so I'd pay for it, stay in other people's homes while they were on holiday. So I didn't know what to charge, so I called around. I saw these other ads, and a lady took me under her wing, and she said, join all the community groups in the local area, like Friends of our borough, Singles of this borough, Dog Lovers of this borough, blah, 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 blah. But follow the rules, because sometimes they don't allow advertising. But she said people are always advertising, looking for people to house and dog sit. And you need to check 5 times a day. And I asked her what she charged. This was now 5 years ago. And she said, I charge £40 per night for one dog. And if there's more than one dog in the family, then I charge 30 or 20 for the second one for a night. And she said, but the real money's in dog walking, because it's 55 minutes. And at that time, 5 years ago, it was 25 pounds a dog. And you are allowed to walk 5 dogs at a time. And I said, okay. And she said, the next thing you need to do is look online for dog walking and dog sitting insurance. So I did. And I have $5 million in indemnity and personal liability insurance through a company here in the UK, and it's £9 a month. I've never needed it, but it's there. So I felt that I could take that £9 out of my budget, that it was a protection for me. So of course, did I start out walking, 10 dogs a day or having weeks and weeks booked? No, but I kept putting my ad out on the days that those community groups would allow ad. I answered every single person who was looking for a dog sitter. And within the first 2 months of doing that, I was just on dog income alone. I was making, before taxes, £2,000 a month. And that £2,000 a month paid my mortgage. It made me be frugal, and not use the heating as much, but heating, my lights, my groceries. I changed from a regular supermarket to a discount supermarket, my water bill, and my mobile phone. And then I started getting to be able to have a dog that I was sitting. So now the next year during COVID, the rate went up to £60 a night for one dog. A lot of people have 2 dogs, so 60 plus 30 is 90 a night. And then during the day, I would go and pick up a group of 3 dogs twice or 3 times a day. So I had 1,000-pound days some days when I had 5 dogs, 4 walks a day. And before that, when I was just applying for those months before I started doing the pet services, I literally was scared to eat. I was eating 1 meal a day. I didn't talk to my friends. I didn't go out because I didn't have any money to go out. I wasn't going outside because I was so filled with shame. I felt like if I was out during the day, people would know I was an unemployed loser with nothing to do. What a crazy idea that is. And I wasn't getting any exercise. So I was walking 5 dogs a day, 4 hours a day. That's 20 dogs. And then the price then was 30 dogs. 30 pounds an hour per dog per walk. Okay. So, you can do the math, right? 5, 10, 15, 20 dogs times 30 pounds. That's 600 pounds just from walking. And then I'd have my overnight dog. And I was surviving, but I hadn't had a haircut in like 3 months or a nice little cake, and prices started going up, and I needed to do more, but the dog income was going up. So I realized that at age 56, I had 2 closets, under bed storage, filled with stuff that I hadn't even looked at in 5 years. So I started pulling it out, trying it on, deciding if I was going to keep it, donate it, or sell it. And I didn't know how to sell it, but I heard about Vinted, so I started doing that. And of course, the income is sporadic, but I'm going to tell you that having that money come in just feels like a little blessing. I was also pretty lonely and isolated because when you get laid off or fired or go through some major transition, some of your friends drop away because they don't know what to say to you. And dog walking, I met other dog walkers and dog people in the parks, and they talk to me, and I've made lifelong friends for that. So just know that there's working people who are overwhelmed with dogs around you, that are so tired from the commute to work, working all day, coming home, that they just need someone to walk their dog. Go up to people in the park and talk to them. So if you're reliable, punctual, responsible, love pets, and kind, you're qualified, and you can walk. Charge per dog, walk small groups. 2 walks per day become serious weekly income. Seriously. It's physical, but it's honest and direct. You don't have to do 4 hours. You can do 1 hour. But 1 hour of 5 dogs a day times 6 days a week and 1 or 2 overnights. It's not nothing, is it? And then the little dribs and drabs from Vinted. Dog sitting and boarding in your busiest times are going to be during the school holidays. Holidays and any other holiday. Holidays happen constantly. 1 week of dog boarding. I just boarded 2 dogs, a mini collie and a dachshund. You can see it on my channel. While their family went back home to Hong Kong for the Chinese New Year for 2 weeks, and that was 900 pounds for 11 nights. In between, and when I had them, I still walked dogs during the day, and I still did Vinted. I picked up some prescriptions for some elderly neighbors who paid me 10 pounds here, 10 pounds there. Now, in the last year, people who have cats who don't want to put them in catteries want me to stop by their house 3 times a day, 15 to 30 pounds a time, depending if I stay 15 or 30 minutes, to change the litter, change the water, and change the food out for their cats while they're on vacation. And it's all within walking distance of my house. And it's cash. Now, obviously, I have to pay my taxes, so I always hold back 20% of what I make. But at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what I've made in January 2026 and February 2026, and it's not yet the end of the month, without a 9-to-5 job. And I'm free. Nobody's going to fire me, and AI isn't going to take my job. Practical services, prescription collection, grocery run, dry cleaning pickup for busy professionals, weekly agreements. How about walking children to school and picking them up from school and walking them home? If you are more physically able and live in an area where people have yards or gardens, lake gardening or lawn mowing. You don't need to be a landscape designer. Sometimes they just need somebody to push a mower. Companionship visits. for the elderly. Just pop in and have a cup of tea and a chat with my mom. I do that. This one matters deeply, not just for the person that you're calling on because they're lonely and they just want some company. It's not a caring role, so you don't need to be a nurse or have any qualifications for that. There's a loneliness epidemic, and you might think that it's just the elderly, but it's us too after we've experienced these devastating life changes. So an hour of conversation, tea, and listening, that is meaningful work that's going to feed your soul, and it's paid. And they're happy to pay for it. They look forward to your visits. They'll ask you a lot of questions about how to use the telephone. You might learn more about World War II than you ever thought was possible for somebody who's not a historian to know. So when you decide to do reselling, and especially if you have a branded item, look that item up first on Vinted and eBay to know what similar items are selling for. So I'm going to tell you what I made so far in February. I made 4,128 pounds. And it was from walks, boarding, reselling, errands. It was from TikTok, and it was from companion visits. In January, because I dog sat all through Christmas and the New Year and all the holiday times, and people were away, and I was doing 4 hours of dog walking a day, I made 7,400 pounds before I took my taxes out. I don't need 7,400 pounds a month to live, so I was able to save some money back. I don't open my refrigerator and see condiments like tomato ketchup and brown sauce and a half-used jar of marmalade and this much milk, knowing that my husband and I both need tea for the next 2 days, and thinking, oh my God, do I have 5 pounds laying in the bottom of one of my pockets or handbags where I can get some milk and some bread. The most important part of this video is this. The money is out there. You have to seek it out. It's not going to come to you, but you must start to look for it. Start your Facebook page today. Answer ads today. If you're a woman and you like to clean, there's lots of cleaning jobs around, and you can pick and choose ones that are right near where you live. You are lying awake thinking that you're too old to start again. You are not. Something else happens when you build up this way. You stop being helpless. You stop waiting. You start moving. If I can do this starting from fear, I had a job for 5 years. I was a senior executive in a technology company that's a global technology company that you all know. I had just come back from Silicon Valley trip where we were planning the next fiscal year, and on Sunday night, overnight UK time, a message popped into my calendar for a meeting with HR that was called Catch Up at 8:45 in the morning on a Monday morning, and I was let go with no notice because of redundancy. Me and pretty much everyone that was an expat in the UK who was over 50 all got chopped on the same day, all across different departments. You'd think being in technology and having my skill set that I would have walked right into another job. Absolutely not. In 2021, I sent 3,700, I believe, and 11 CVs out, and I got 2 interviews that were first round, and as soon as they saw me on video, no interest, and I was way overqualified for them, and they were at half the salary that I was making before. I literally was considering all my options. I have one more for you. It's something that I do occasionally, but I'm going to hold it for the next video. But it's a big money maker. It usually runs between 500 and 700 pounds for just 1 week. So you're not done. You're not obsolete. You're building differently. You got to start today because this stacks up. This is how you survive. in today's economic times. This is how you're going to make it. You're not just going to squeak by. You're going to start off by squeaking by until you get a little extra, and you're going to actually be able to put some back for the next emergency. You're not going to have to check your emails to see if your boss has a deliverable. There's no emergency and no threat hanging over your head of redundancy. I did it in a country that was not my birth country, where I didn't have a lot of friends. I wasn't established. We're going to talk more. Start today. Being in the company of pets is lovely. When you feel so alone and so dejected, despondent, worthless, and a dog climbs up in your lap and wants a cuddle, your soul will heal. Your pocketbook will heal. And I'm here with you. Please subscribe so I can tell you about our next way of earning money without a 9 to 5. Until then, friends, be safe.